Well, that was more fun for Ohio State, wasn't it? Welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge. We are at Roosters for a fun, casual conversation at a fun, casual joint, and we're going to have a lot more fun talking about Ohio State beating Western Kentucky 63-10, just like Tyvis Powell expected last week. Bobby Carpenter back over here. Nicole Cox back in the building after I think she won the golf
I didn't win. I just played really well.
Oh, okay.
Really well.
Better than Bob?
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
sure.
Bobby, you ruined my golf career. You know that?
Actually, I made you a star.
No, you you ruined
a star
it.
is born.
Because now I will never pick up a club again.
Tyvis,
it is your
you
fault.
and I are going to play golf.
I'm not.
We are.
I'm
Yep.
not. Unless you want to lose
And I'll
clubs.
just I'll just pump
not.
you up, and I'll just remind you every time this is golf. You have a good shot, and then you have a bad shot. It's just what it is.
Well, what the incident did do is now I hold the club extra tight.
Yeah, when
worked
someone
on the grip.
People always like, and Austin will say like, the grip is big. When I was like, you're squeezing too hard. I'm like, all right, well, like looser. They're like, well, I don't want to let it go.
Well,
that's I saw that, and then someone's like, don't you want to have a little movement there, like soft hands? I'm like, it's a fine line here, soft hands. There's
don't
people
think
around.
too hard. Just
Never
don't think too hard.
We've never seen it on
think
like
less.
America's Funniest Home Videos or one of those like chive commercials in bars. Like I kept thinking someday I'm going to see Tyvis throwing a club into the
You made the
I
Sports
made
Center
not top 10.
The best part was my guy texted me. Randy Scott was doing that. He goes, "Tell me that." He's like, "This, you know." I'm like, "Yeah, that I was there. I was the one that got him to come." I feel awful now. I go,
credit.
Okay, the story's getting worse. I didn't know that part of the story.
"Oh yeah," and on top of it,
Oh,
the
man.
one of the girls said, "Hey, did you hear Tyvis through the club?" And I'm like, "Oh, come on!" I'm like, it wasn't even his. And then she was, I go, "Man, I wish I could see that." She goes,
like
"Oh, I got it right here." And I'm like, "Oh gosh."
It was like a $400 driver.
Of course. Well, no, it's worse because it was an individual club,
Yeah.
so it's the whole
You got
bag.
to replace the 6-iron specifically.
Like it's tough to go and just get a single club.
It was such a low moment of my life.
It's okay, Tyvis.
It's good news. Everything from there is
I
up.
made you a
Yeah.
star.
Everything from there is up. Hey, what do you think Kim Kardashian did?
No.
Sometimes
That's
you
it.
got to do something you may
This
not
is why
be
we don't
proud
go
of.
live.
That's it.
This is it.
We're talking about the Buckeyes.
Live on Saturday, they were awesome.
Okay, you know who put a great grip on the game on Saturday? The Ohio State Buckeyes.
They did.
63-10. Let's talk about that.
They
Bob.
did. Oh, okay, go Bob.
No, Tyvis, sorry, you're right.
No,
here.
Bob.
You're the star. Kim Kardashian. Tell us how it went.
I'm just Ray J, dude. It's cool.
Listen, they did everything that we wanted them to do. They played defense. The pass rush was alive. They got 3 takeaways in the first half of a game. The offense looked poised. Obviously, Kyle McCord, started off with that fumble, but he picked things up. And you can tell that he's much more confident now that he knows that he's the guy. He's making the throws. It's nice to see him getting Marvin and Emeka involved. Emeka had 2 touchdowns. But yeah, secondary-wise, they did everything I wanted to see. Last week, I praised Denzel Burke. And again, man, he's playing lights out. He's looking like that guy from freshman year. He might play his way right into that first round. Last year, the one thing that I critiqued about him was that he got beat off the line of scrimmage a lot. When he was playing
one hand.
Yeah, when he was playing press man, he got beat a lot off the line, and he was playing catch up, and it allowed him not to be able to play the ball.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at him this year, he's playing a lot off. And what I like about him is he's getting his 3-step read from the quarterback, and he's snapping his eyes to the quarterback and snapping it back to the man, and that's how he's making these plays on the ball. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing from that secondary. Jordan Hancock at the nickel is there's some growing pains there, but I see the potential, and I think things will be crisp. But the best part about anything that happened yesterday is I seen Jalen Tuimoloau look like Dwight Freeney on one play. He hit this spin move and did do so good, man. I was like, listen.
Then Austin Reed threw the ball right before he got there.
But still,
I know that's what
it's like I finally got to see like the move. I haven't really seen him hit a move like this.
It used to be against Larry's rules. No spin move.
Was that really?
Do not turn your back on the quarterback.
I understand that. Because I'm generally anti-spin move, but I do believe like having a spot shot of it is.
You got to set it up.
There.
You got to set it up because if that's the case, everybody when they watch your tape, they know he's not going to hit a spin move. He's never going to hit a spin move. And then, boom, every now and then you hit a spin move, it's going to work.
Yeah.
So he set it up perfectly.
Bob, how'd you feel on Saturday?
I felt good. I mean, the fact you scored 5 touchdowns in a quarter, that doesn't hurt. I mean, everyone's wanting to see like that just offensive eruption. And some of it came through the defense as well.
Yep.
I really like the fact that Kyle fumbled, not inherently on the play of itself, but then was able to come back, and you watched him rebound in a big way. Like, that's the thing. When you get named the starter, it's like, oh my gosh, they're gonna pull him. Like, you're coming to the sideline thinking like you get pulled, you get yanked. I mean, anytime you're a young player, and even if you've just started a couple games, like you miss a coverage, you miss a tackle, come to the sideline like, man, they're gonna sit me down.
Yes,
and it's a terrible feeling because then you're thinking about that, and you're not thinking about just the next play, which is what's important.
And moving on.
And that's what they did. They corrected and moved on. You know, you got the run game going a little better. There's still some things to clean up, you know. But looking at this on the defensive side, Western Kentucky, their offense is really good.
Yeah, they are.
Malachi Corley is going to play in the NFL. Like, he has a very Debo Samuel build to him. He's strong. Austin Reed is a really good quarterback, really good athlete. You saw what he can do.
Competitor, man.
They said he talked so much smack in school gym that he was kicked out of class.
I believe.
Good.
I was just like,
a little bit of a wild card.
I don't know. You know how I feel about the talking smack. I feel like it's unnecessary.
So you think that he deserved what happened on Saturday?
Yeah,
Karma.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love when Nicole's
boyfriend.
getting a little bit of that edge.
She did, but but be able to slow that team down. They hung 41 on South Florida, which, like, all right, what does that mean? We're like, well, I watched Bama score 17 on them this weekend. So, I mean, I know there was rain and the weather wasn't great, but like, this team is good offensively. So I said if we hold them, I was like 13 points would be aspirational. Anything under 20, I'll feel really good.
That's how I felt.
They held them to 10. You know, and they were aggressive. They're going for it on fourth downs. They held them to 3 of 15 on third down. That's winning football in a huge way.
Well, you know what the best part about it is? When you think of Western Kentucky, you think of explosive offense.
Yeah.
What was our weakness last year? We gave up a ton of explosive plays. So it showed them limited those explosive plays, which we've seen the first 2 weeks anyway. They haven't really given up any explosive outside of the one ball 2 weeks ago against YSU. So you see the improvements, and as little as it sounds now, it makes the big deal when you go up against these better teams, because obviously the athletes are going to be better. But if you stay on top and get the ball down and eliminate those explosives, then this defense really can be what we thought it would be. But that was the one Achilles' heels last year.
So you saw them. They lined up. They were where they were supposed to be. Communication was good. Everyone knew what to do. They tackled well outside of JT's sailor dive.
Trying to go for it all.
Armless. I call it the dolphin tackle. You know why dolphins don't play football? Because they can't wrap.
They don't wrap.
Okay, they have no arms. They cannot wrap.
Spin around.
And it's hard to move those tanks around quickly.
Absolutely. I don't know if you get them in the right spot. But then they also had great pursuit.
They're very smart, though.
They are smart. Our defense is smart, though. Saul Steele, you see Tommy, you watching Lathan. These guys communicate well. So they were where they're supposed to be. They're playing hard and they're tackling. If you do that, you're not going to give up many explosive gains, because even if you do bust the coverage, guys are there. You do miss a tackle, guys are running hard. And so all that worked in concert. And I loved watching you getting the running game going, like Chip train them, boom, hit it 40 yards out the gate.
Do you see the competition? It might not be, obviously they might be the bestest of friends, but on that field, it's something going on between Chip and Travion. I'm gonna tell you, because Travion comes out there, he makes a good play and he scores, and Chip get the ball and say, okay, now watch this. And boom, he goes right back and he do something. So it's hilarious to watch it.
And speaking of that competition, I know this is going to warm Nicole's heart. When Devin Brown threw his touchdown pass, like the first dude over there, Kyle McCoy.
Number 6.
Number 6, hyping him up.
You know, I love
threw a dime in there. Great ball to Carnell Tate. Awesome. And like, hey, that's what he's capable of. And I've tried to tell people, I watched Devin Brown throw some great balls in camp. I've also watched some inconsistencies. That's what Ryan was bashing his head into the wall with these guys, trying to figure it out, because you see that and you're like, just give me more of that, less of the other stuff. Sure. But it's awesome, the fact that, hey, we're still getting him reps, because he may have to come in a game
every night.
There's a good chance that,
what is it, 9 games left this season? That's a lot of
ball.
Plus more.
You freaking you pop a shoulder pad. You got to come out for a couple plays. You're like JT against Michigan. Dwayne's got to go. I mean, that stuff happens. So he needs the reps, and it's awesome to see those guys still cheering and pulling for each other in that room.
Yeah.
All right. Nicole, how did you feel on Saturday?
I felt like the Buckeyes, like I say, we just we kind of got to get used to it. We got to kind of work our way through it and just get used to playing again in front of the fans. And I feel like we see that every year, and so there were explosive plays. I was really impressed. I have to say, Justin bringing up that this Kyle being named the starter does definitely help his mental state, just the confidence, and you could just see it. And so I completely agree with him on that. You could just see Kyle just felt in his element, which was great.
Yeah. What'd you think of Kyle McCord, Tyvis?
I think he was poised. Like I say, Bobby hit it right on the head when he said that, you fumble, and then usually if you're still a competition, you're like, man, they about to pull me out and Devin's about to go in. But to know that you the guy, it's like, all right, let me get myself ready because this team still needs me. I'm still the guy. And I can go out there and I could be free. Yes, I made a mistake. I learned from the mistake, and he went back out there and he played lights out for the rest of the game. I mean, that's what you want out of your quarterback. I tweeted it about halftime of the game. The one thing about just this team and us as a fan base is that it's really like we are so frustrated at times because the standard is set and it's very high for Ohio State. It is what it is.
The standard is what?
The standard is excellence. I mean, it's just the standard is the standard.
Yes, there it is.
The standard is what it is. And when
she's writing it down right
now.
She loves that.
Nope,
when you're not, achieving that level, this fan base gets antsy because everybody can see around the country, even the players, they see around the country and they see these teams dominating. You see the team up north dominating. You see, well, maybe not Georgia.
They?
Listen, they were struggling against Bowling Green, but they still pulled it out. Anyways, you know what I'm trying to say.
I do know what you're saying.
So when this team isn't doing that, it's like, why? So it's very alarming. It's very concerning. And people got to realize is that, the defense, yes, it's the same scheme and same system, but things change. He really got rid of a lot of things, a lot of responsibilities, and kind of made it to just see ball, get ball. And they're still reacting to that. And then from an offensive standpoint, it's I don't think people understand how hard it is to replace three important spots on the offensive line, get that chemistry going. And you never really got it in camp because you got different guys coming in. You got this guy going over there today. You got this center playing with the twos today. So it's like you never got that chemistry down with just five guys. Mm-hmm. So that's why we're watching them grow on the fly. And the best part about it is they are growing.
Sure.
They're not making the same mistakes. Mm-hmm. They've gotten better week after week. And that's what I can say about Kyle McCord. They pointed out on the TV, it was a route. It was like a over or a drag to Marvin Harrison. And I think week one, he missed it. And 2 days ago, boom, he hits it. Marvin Harrison takes it over the field, positive yards. So you can tell that Kyle McCord is watching film and he's learning from his mistakes. And I can appreciate that. A guy that's really serious about his craft and wants to get better, you can always respect a guy like that at quarterback one.
Absolutely.
Nicole, dive into some Roosters Buckeye leaves. Who do we got over here?
I'm going to give mine to Emeka Egbuka this week.
Okay.
I felt like I didn't get to see him as much the last couple games, the explosive plays. He's just great at getting himself open. He has great spatial awareness. He can block. And it was great seeing him out there again. I don't know. I just was drawn to that. Obviously we scored a lot more this game. But I thought he played really well.
Nicole, your scouting reports are getting better and better.
Great,
spatial
thanks.
awareness?
Yeah.
Was that from Madden? Are you playing that now at home?
I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm trying. Mm-hmm.
That was really good. He does have great spatial awareness. Bob, who do you got?
My goodness. I mean, there's so many that I could give out.
Oh,
Okay,
it's great to be able to, it's great to say that.
It is. You could give one to Kyle McCord. Obviously, Marvin. You see Emeka. Cade Stover, another guy went out there and played really well.
Yes.
Offensive line, watching them gel, I thought they played pretty well.
Yep.
I've got to probably stay on the defensive side of the ball. And I'm going to give one who maybe it wasn't the most influential play, biggest play in the world, but it was huge for him. And I've watched him go through a lot of stuff, and that's Mitchell Melton getting a sack.
Oh, yeah.
He tear your ACL, and they'd moved positions. He was playing really well last year. He tears his ACL, I think in the spring, wasn't it?
It was the spring game.
Yeah, the spring game. Done for the year. The year before that, didn't he tear it back to back?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's so many things he's overcome. And I think he can be a guy who's a really good player. I think we're beginning to see those flashes now. And so for him to come out there that day, and we're lamenting the defensive line, where's the sacks, where's the pressure? And they had what I call, a lot of one-arm pressures where quarterback's getting away and you're one arm on the QB.
Yeah.
You're right there, but he was able to get there. He was able to get that sack. And for him and just his journey, man, I feel so happy for him because he's a guy that does everything right and a really good dude.
It's a great pick.
That is a great pick.
Thoughtful.
Okay, well, I would have given my Buckeye leaf, and I really wanted to give it to this guy, but he left money on the field, and I cannot give it to people that leave money on the field.
No.
Josh Proctor, you've been playing really well. You got to come up with that pick. Like, come on.
Oh,
now.
God.
Like,
come on.
hey, listen, you
This
won
is 6 years of it.
Listen,
you know he's not going
No. Listen, you cannot win the Super Bowl and drive off in a Hyundai. That's just not what you're going to do. So you better make sure you get that money. So with that being said, I'm going to give it to a guy who did get some money. And then not only that, he got his chips with dip. Jermaine Matthews, the young guy coming in there, getting a pick 6. I mean, come on now. You got to reward a guy like that. A guy who can score on the defensive side of the ball is singly the best play you can make as a defensive player. Getting a pick and turn it into 6. Got to give you your Buckeye leaves, man. Your future is bright.
You know what I liked about that play, Tyvis?
That he looked like Tyvis.
Well, that was the first thing that went through my mind. And once that was done, I was thankfully done early. Snap judgments were already ready to go. And the game was out of control. So I was down there on the sideline. So right to my left, Jermaine Matthews is running into the end zone. And you have JT Tuimoloau, Marvin Harrison, Denzel Burke, all these veteran players engaged and ready to go celebrate on the field. Now, it wound up costing Ohio State a 5-yard penalty for a sideline infraction, but I thought it was 5 yards well spent for the veterans to go out there and celebrate a moment with a true freshman who made a big play, showed how much they cared about it. Everyone is celebrating the same thing that you were talking about with Devin Brown's touchdown and Carnell Tate. Like that was a sign of brotherhood.
#brotherhood.
#brotherhood that I thought was very encouraging for the chemistry on this team, that they were not, towels on their head over on the side. I'm going to go sign some autographs, get some digits over there in the front row. Like they weren't doing any of that. They were locked in, and they were really happy for one of their new teammates to make a big play. And I know that Nicole was happy about it too.
Oh, the guys, that's my favorite. It's so important. And when you have that, it just makes you that much stronger. And then you end up playing better because I don't know. I think that is a key element in just the Ohio State football team in general.
You know what's key?
I was going to say
on Tuesdays.
Is it appetizer
Threes Day?
And that means the featured appetizer, $3 all day long. It is the onion feathers.
Feather sauce.
It's not called feather sauce.
It's feather sauce.
I had to confirm.
We confirmed it.
I wanted to call it.
It's called pluck and
It's
sauce.
feather. Feather sauce, previously known as pluck-in sauce.
Like
FKA.
Twitter, previously known as Twitter.
Correct.
The artist formerly known as Prince.
It'll always be pluck-in sauce.
Yeah.
It's always, I like it to call it pluck you sauce because that's my favorite. But that's tremendous. And you know what else we have going on?
Buckeye Bowl Trip giveaway. 3 games down, but 9 still to go. Yep.
Roosters is giving away 12 pairs of tickets, airfare, deluxe hotel accommodations.
Yes.
You just scan the QR code right there or go to roosterswings.com and register now. You can register
daily,
every week. You can win multiple times.
No.
Nicole said
multiple
it is
years.
possible.
Yes. You can't win 2 trips in 1 year, but you can win if you've won in the past.
But last week there were 6 million entries because Byrne put the QR code on the screen. Or is it over here?
There were a lot of entries.
There
were a lot.
Well,
of
you
entries.
said the same person won, but it was just same name, 2 different people one time.
Yep.
It was a homonym.
It was a Chris
same
Davis.
name, 2
That's
people.
hilarious.
Chris Davis getting it done. He
So
also
funny.
plays for the Orioles. Strikes out a lot.
How many Chris Davises are actually out there in the world is the question.
Quite
That
a few.
is.
Quite a few.
They made up 1
Strikes
million
out
of
a
the
lot.
entries last week alone. Chris Davis.
Absolutely.
No, Heather from Groveport won week 1. I'm meeting with our week 2 winners today.
Hey,
Okay.
you know what the
And then-
best part is, Nicole? We're with going 3-0. We're halfway there to getting to bowl eligibility.
Yeah.
And then you get a guaranteed trip.
They're looking for number 4 at Notre Dame. We're going to talk a lot more about that, but you've got that game broken down. You've got your score prediction.
I do.
How confident are you, first of all, in
I'm
what's going to happen
confident.
on Saturday and Friday?
After this past weekend, you guys know how I feel.
You needed to see it.
I know that they're going to do great, and I'm glad Notre Dame is 3rd game in. I think, or is that 4th game?
Fourth.
Gosh, guys, this season's flying by.
We're already at the quarter pole mark of
That's
the regular
insane.
season.
But I think we're going to do great. I think it's going to be closer for sure. So
Okay.
my pick is 38-27 Ohio State.
It's not a bad, that's not a bad number.
That actually is a really good score.
Thanks, guys.
38.
I work, I did a little research.
I'm sure you did. That's a cover and an over, I believe. So take note of that. Anything else that we need to know about, Nicole?
No, guys, thanks for having me today.
What else is in the notebook? Anything else you got to get out there? You're doing all this
Did you
work.
guys? Okay, so did you feel that? So on YouTube TV, which I love this new thing we have going on. And
we just
so,
got it.
The grid.
Oh, I got really overwhelmed with that, but I ended up loving it. I love it, though. I do, because
So
you can
much.
see a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
I just had to keep up with all of it.
It's a lot. Watching multiple games at once is not easy.
I was very overwhelmed, but I do love it. But when you go back to watch key plays, do you guys feel there were a lot of fumbles this game? Like,
Forced
did they
fumbles by the
rub?
defense?
There were.
Did they rub oil
six,
all over
yeah.
the football? Like, I mean, I'm talking. There were.
Greasy.
I felt like there were more fumbles than usual, and maybe it's just the way they broke out key plays. But every play I felt like was a fumble. I was like, this is interesting.
Ball hit the ground a lot. I
It
mean, I think
did.
there was 6 times
They
it was
come in,
out.
they come in waves, right?
It was a
All
lot,
bunches.
and it was funny to watch it all to back to back to back. I was like, well, geez.
I never actually did the key plays feature on my YouTube TV.
I just tried it. This is the first week I tried it.
All
I
right.
don't like it as much as watching the game, for sure. But it was just funny to watch it back to back to back. I
I
was
might
like,
try
what is
that.
wrong with the ball?
That would be weird if they covered it in oil, because every team gets to put its own football in play.
Well, it
So-
didn't matter because Marvin and Emeka, it sure didn't affect them in
I
any
know.
way. So
Seemed pretty good.
It was an exciting game.
All right.
So
So you're ready.
I'm ready.
Saturday night at Roosters. That's where everyone needs to be. Go to your
Yes.
spot. It'll be on
Get there early.
Yes.
yeah,
It
you
will
better
be
get
on
there early.
every
Mhm.
TV with sound.
with sound. Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Perfect. All right. We're going to take a break in here at Roosters, talk a little bit more about Ohio State, and get ready for Saturday night against Notre Dame when we come back with a fun, casual conversation at Roosters, which is a fun, casual joint.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. Berm is here
Hey, what's up?
in the flesh.
What's going on? What's up with the what's up?
Who impressed you the most on Saturday? If you had to give, I don't know, a Buckeye Leaf award.
I'm going to go ahead and just start by saying I'm mad.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man.
At who?
Angry
Bob.
Bob.
Oh,
Lord.
no.
Why? What did
Because
I
I
do?
didn't anticipate you pulling the sentimental BS crap. And I had Mitchell Melton teed up over here.
So that's when you got salty.
Yeah. I had Mitchell Melton teed up because he was the guy I was going to give my defensive Buckeye leaf
He's
to.
a
Don't you-
defensive guy. He's a former
Don't
linebacker.
you just hate when somebody steals
Yes,
your answer? Because I thought like this is one that's going to fly under the radar here.
No
No one's going to
way.
think about it. But then I forgot that you're probably his personal trainer. And
I
so you
talked to
spent
Mitch
all
this
this time with
morning.
him.
I talked to him this morning. I was super pumped for him,
So
man.
how did you bounce back? Well, I had an offensive one teed up as well, of course, because that's what I do, and that goes to Carnell Tate for the same reason.
Yeah.
Like that's a kid who went through an offseason that no one should ever have to deal with. Yeah. And like Austin was talking about when Jermaine Matthews scores his touchdown, like the way that Marv and those guys greeted him coming off the field, it had that, like if it was a national story the way it should be, like the way Cam Babb was a year ago, it would have had the same sort of reaction amongst his teammates, I think. So for Carnell, it's not like it's a charity touchdown or anything.
Sure.
The kid's going to be a freaking
Marvin said he's better than him.
excellent football player. But to get in there in that game and make, it's not an easy catch. It was a perfectly thrown ball. Like it wasn't something where you feel like, oh, it's just a throwaway. I mean, it's a real big play.
Yeah.
He had another nice catch earlier in the game. And I just think that when you have, it's really hard for freshman wide receivers to play in Brian Hartline's room. So you have to do everything right. And Carnell Tate has done that for a guy that in his recruitment, a lot of people thought was immature or was handling things in a weird way because he enjoyed the attention. To see
Why
where
wouldn't
he's at.
you
Yeah.
take the money, take the attention? You only get to do it once.
He played against Bishop Sycamore, for heaven's sake.
That's the spotlight that you need.
He
right
really
there.
did. You know what? I watched that documentary
You
and
see
I
him, I'm
watched
like,
him
that's-
score.
that's recruiting, that's our
He
receiver.
going on stage. He was clowning on
That's
those
our guy.
guys.
Oh, I mean, come on. There's guys that were my age out there covering him.
Defensively, I mean, again, Mitch is the guy I was going to go with. I had the other one in the event with Steel Chambers. Steel Chambers deserves a lot of
He
credit.
does. And that was tough. I was going between Mitch and Steele.
Steel, he's
Obviously,
obviously
back-to-back weeks for Bird going with Steele.
statistically the game he played is obvious. I mean, you get the interception, you should have had a touchdown on the fumble. Like
him and Tommy are just so good at making sure that people are where they need to be.
And yet you want to see CJ Hicks.
I do. I want to see CJ Hicks in the middle of the third quarter, which is when we got him.
Yeah, it's when he should come in and play.
That's when we got him on Saturday.
You know what? To the fans that want to see more CJ Hicks, you should demand that your offense and starting defense do well so they can come in.
That's Austin's point that he makes all the time, is that you can play depth by blowing people out.
Exactly. Yes.
Kyle McCord only played a half of football essentially on Saturday,
which is what it was. It's what it was perfect.
That's literally been the game plan. Like for us when we played and we were going up against the YSUs and the FAMUs, is let's go ahead and get this over with. So halftime, I can put the towel on my head,
come out, take one series,
cheer my young guys on,
and then get everybody else out there. That is what should happen. My problem is, I like CJ, and I think CJ is going to be a really good player. He's very skilled and talented, and reps will help him immensely.
Yes.
I don't understand why people are saying that they have to then tear down Steele as if he shouldn't be out there.
Right. As if he's not playing well.
They better not say that.
Oh, that's 100%.
They better not say Steele is the only defensive guy that's literally everywhere on the field. Every time. You know how it was this thing that they say, when the play goes, when it ends,
are you in the frame?
You should be in the frame. He is literally in every frame on defense. What more do you want?
So there's this narrative out there that they're playing Steele because he's a 60-year senior loyalty crap. I'm like, the guy makes play. He got a pick in the freaking Peach Bowl. Like, what are we talking about? He's where he's supposed to be. He makes tackles, does his job. Good dude, smart guy.
Still has come a long way because
played running back 3 years ago for him.
Should have listened to me coming out of high school.
His first year at linebacker wasn't it the year we lost to the team up north at their place?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, the year we lost to the team up north the first time.
Yeah, 2021.
That was his first year playing linebacker.
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah.
He looked terrible.
It's Tommy's first year as a starter.
Yeah,
both of them were bad.
Yeah, he looked awful.
And the defensive line wasn't very good.
Yeah, to see where he's at today, it's like night and day.
Go back to the 2018 defense and how bad Tuff Borland was and Pete Warner was and Justin. Those guys were bad because they were all sophomores. They didn't know what they were doing. And then all of a sudden you play and you get better. Saturday was a game that, we can talk about it in retrospect, and it's 63-10 and it's a blowout. It was 14-10 in the second quarter when Steel Chambers makes an unbelievable play on the option. That play changed the tenor of the entire game. Tommy saw it, Steele made the play, and then you move forward from there. And nobody talks about the game as being close after that point because the avalanche came, but it was
Malachi Corley said stay level.
Yeah, those are good players.
They're too high.
There's good players. Austin Reed, that team is going to win their conference most likely. It's a good football team that you played, and you beat them 63-10. You're beating a Power 5 team by 53 points. It's a good win. I don't care who you're playing against.
College football awards are a joke, but Steel Chambers is playing like an All-American. He may not be one because Tommy Eichenberg exists and is on the same team, and they're probably not both going to get
they can't give everybody.
And that's fine. I understand that. He is playing at a level that is at All-American consideration.
I agree.
And that's the part. Let them two just go play in the first halves of games. And then, guess what? Cody Simon and CJ Hicks can go.
Because Cody's great. Cody's really good.
Cody's really good too.
It's unfortunate. There's so many good players. Look at running back. You're playing Evan Pryor in the fourth quarter. Dallin Hayden hasn't touched the football this season for Ohio State.
Yeah, it's one touch.
He does one touch. My apologies.
Wow.
One carry so far, and he's not playing on Saturday. I just think that it
was actually a catch, but I'm sorry for being that
I
guy.
must not have been paying attention at that moment. I think that was
it was from Devin Brown on the.
Austin's on it more than you.
No. I have a lot of other responsibilities on the field.
I'm just trying to help. I'm not trying to correct him.
I have a lot of other responsibilities at the end of the game, so I may not have been on the field at that moment. But bottom line, there's one football, and there's only 11 guys that play on the defensive side of the ball all the time. So you just got to find a way.
Has Brandon Ennis played?
Brandon played. He was on punt block, punt return on Saturday. He was on kick return. He did play the 7-minute on Saturday. The interception by Devin Brown was intended for Brandon that got tipped at the line.
Okay.
So you got to find ways to get these guys into the game. Jelani Thurman played on Saturday.
You know how you get them in the game? With a big lead.
You win. You go up 42-10 at half. And I mean, I was on the field halftime. A minute to go. Western Kentucky's in that final fourth down situation. Like, man, if they don't punt the ball, Ohio State's going to score again on them. And then they went for it again on 4th and 5.
I respect them. They're actually
kudos to them for trying to win. I don't care.
It's 35-10, and you're at the Ohio State 45-yard line. And if you punt it, Buckeyes are going to take a knee. Ryan Day said it after the game. He's like, well, we thought about taking a knee, but we need to be in these situations, which I get. But if they would have
2-minute work,
if they would have punted it,
I know.
then they would have taken a knee because they would have been inside the 10 with 28 seconds to go instead of midfield with 28 seconds to go. And, Kyle comes out and throws the ball all around the place. It was just a fun game to watch. I knew it was going to be going.
I respect them for coming out and actually trying to win a game and not do what Indiana and Youngstown State did, which, listen, I understand what they were doing, but we're going to bleed this thing down. We're going to lose rhythm. We're going to give them 9 drives. We're going to put together a drive. Youngstown State did a great job putting together a drive.
They did.
But, there are things in there like if you're really trying to win, this is what you would have to do. You'd have to make a play at this point.
Attempt to pass, not run the triple.
Make an adjustment at halftime.
As opposed to we're just going to bleed this thing out and get out safely. And I understand that. Western Kentucky came in here, it's 14-10.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, we make a play or two, get a stop. We might be able to take a lead in this thing or keep it close at halftime. And who knows
it just got blown out the water. That the second quarter, it just they took a dive.
It makes you wonder if you're, we've watched Ohio State these first 3 weeks, and you think, are they being conservative? And Ryan Day,
I think part of it was that too.
Part of it is. I think it's impossible not to think that because when Ryan Day decides to open up the offense, we see what happens, and that's why Saturday to me is so interesting.
Side note to that: is Brian Hartline calling plays?
I don't think so.
So that
he may have some recommendations that get listened to.
He ain't letting go of the play. I don't blame him. I don't blame Ryan Day for not letting.
I don't think he should either. I did think last November that was worth a consideration. That may be the path.
You always evaluate everything. He evaluate every year.
He called the best game of his life against Georgia. I don't see why you would give it up.
If guys like Andy Reid and Mike McDonald can do it in the NFL, I know that he's got a little more responsibility on his plate than NFL head coaches do. Yeah. But that's why people like the 1870 Society exist to take some of those responsibilities off his plate. Yeah,
that's interesting.
So now he can focus on that.
I know a guy that works.
Tell me more about that.
Just saying, last year there was so much stress on Ryan Day's head about everything around NIL that I thought
he was told not to worry about it.
He was, but he was also told that other people were going to take care of it, and they didn't. So now it's being handled.
You can't not worry about it if they're not going to take care of it.
Well, I think the 1870 Society is doing a great job.
Is that right?
I think they are.
I'd love to hear more about that.
Off camera.
Let's forget about Western Kentucky, right? Let's
move on.
Preseason
We're
is
on
over.
to Cincinnati.
Notre Dame.
It's real on Saturday night. It is a matchup game. It is a talent-equated game.
Is it?
I don't know. I'm going to let you answer it.
Let's be honest.
The spread says 3.5.
Before we get going to that, can we talk for a second just about how highly irrational people can be when it comes to this? And
speak on it.
Last week, there were no ranked versus ranked matchups in college football. Not a one for top 25.
Okay.
This week, there is a plenty.
A cornucopia.
There is. I mean, I screenshot something because there was a bunch that I saw there with all the teams. I don't know where the heck it went.
Colorado's playing Oregon, right?
Colorado's playing Oregon. There's top 25 matchups all over the place. It's going to be great. And I said last week, we have no idea. There'll be good games. We just don't know what they're going to be. And you scroll through the top 10. For Ohio State struggling the first couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Struggling, gotcha. Air quotes. I mean, Boston College was a couple mistakes away from potentially beating Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Bama, that looked rough. Texas is 7-10 at half.
10-10 at the end of the third.
Yes, going into the fourth.
Pokes.
I'm not into the transitive property, but what do we make of South Florida handling Bama that way when compared to what Western Kentucky did to South Florida?
It seems pretty obvious that Bama stinks.
One has a quarterback, the other one doesn't.
Well, if you have 3 quarterbacks, you have none.
You look at Missouri,
that's a fact.
Kansas State losing to Missouri.
Michigan playing Bowling Green close to the middle of the
Tennessee, Austin's Vols.
Oh, I knew that was.
Austin's Vols come out there.
That.
I cannot believe that. Listen, when I saw 7 points, it dropped to 5.5. I'm like, what do we know here?
The easiest bet of all time.
What we know is
Tennessee not winning
not as good.
I can understand that. Florida looked like the worst team in college football when they played Utah.
Wait, so Bob, are you telling me that college football is hard? That week to week it's difficult to win games? Is that the thesis here?
I'm saying that there's occasionally you may not just go and pull everybody out every single week.
That's true.
That's a fair point to make.
I mean, 2002, didn't they win by a lot?
Well, I mean,
didn't y'all win like one?
2014. It's not like you guys were world beaters all year.
Whoa.
You guys had 3 great games at the end of the year when everything clicked.
We had Michael Bennett on, and he told us this on the radio with the defensive line. He goes, sometimes it takes 3 or 4 games to get rolling and get going. He goes, I don't like to judge anything before that. I go, Coming from the guy that lost their second game of the season to Virginia
That's smart.
Tech.
That's good perspective if you've been through it. Hey, you can lose to Virginia Tech.
Why y'all got to bring that up?
I'm just saying
Because you got the ring, so it doesn't hurt you anymore.
No, because it was something that shouldn't have happened.
Doesn't this?
You're right.
Shouldn't this provide perspective to people watching? Like, you don't have to blow people out every week. You guys didn't in 2002. How many? You went to freaking overtime with Illinois.
Can you imagine if
barely
Berm,
beat Cincinnati.
if Berm had Twitter
I
in
know.
2002 and he's just sitting there just
Okay?
blowing
You guys
up
needed
every
overtime
week?
at Illinois.
Like,
You had to.
and that's what he was doing in
Will
2014
Allen had to save your ass
Tyvis.
with an interception against Cincinnati. Like, you guys struggled all year.
No, we did.
Come on.
Even I think there is a misconception
had-
about 2014. Even they just once they got past Virginia Tech, it was all
No,
this.
no.
And it wasn't. Minnesota was at the end of the season.
Yeah, that one was bad.
Well, that one I'll actually give an excuse for
Because
because
it was 0 degrees.
it was 0
Yeah,
degrees in a
doesn't-
blizzard.
Doesn't
Was
matter.
that when JT had the
world's
the
slowest 80-yard
longest
touchdown.
run, and
It took 23 seconds for him to run 90 yards.
If there had been sun out at the stadium that day, they would have used a sundial to clock that one. It was a touchdown.
That
Good
game was
time,
miserable.
good
Okay, so on to
times.
Notre Dame. I just wanted to have a little.
What's the threat level?
midnight-
Berm said none.
I'm not saying there's no threat level. I'm saying the talent is not equated. Ohio State is a far more talented team than
oh,
Notre Dame.
they're talented than a lot of people.
All right,
Notre
so
Dame is a
put it
really good team.
0
They're
to
a top
10,
they're a
0
top
to
10 team in the country. The top 5 teams in the country
0 to 10
are light years better.
What's
than
the threat level midnight?
threat level?
Yeah, of Notre Dame winning on Saturday night.
6.
6. Why, Tyvis? What
I
do
mean,
you?
because
What concerns you either about Ohio State or Notre Dame?
Well, I mean, I always respect the team that's got a good quarterback. You know, Sam Howell or not? Wow,
Hartman, yeah.
Sam
Oh,
Howell. Look at this. I'm
plays
going
for
to the
the-
NFL.
I think
Sam
no, but
Hartman.
Hartman
You
and
do
Howell
too many
started their college
shows.
career the same year. So
Sam Hartman he's a really good quarterback. I mean, he's really doing a great job of threading the needle. He's getting his guys involved. But the thing is, even last year when we played them, they had the tight end, but they didn't really have the skill guys. So to me, Sam Hartman is good, but I don't think that our DBs will struggle with their skill guys. I don't think that's going to be a
Notre
problem.
Dame's second leading receiver a year ago is Ohio State's 5th cornerback.
My
now.
point exactly.
Okay.
So that's where, to me, it's like, the only way they can do it or lay an egg is if they get too hyped up and can't get focused, can't get locked in, and then they let the crowd get involved. Then that's the only way. But they struggle. Notre Dame struggle with stopping the run. If Ohio State can run the ball, which they've been trying to do for the past 3 weeks, I think that's why they've been trying to get a good grasp on this run game. If they can run the ball successfully with those 3 to 6 running backs that they have, this game could get out of hand, and nobody's on their team is stopping Marvin Harrison. I don't care who you got.
If Notre Dame comes out and what they'll try to do is impose their will physically on the Ohio State front
You think
7,
similar game plan to last year?
it's going to have to be. I mean, but you have a quarterback that if you need to make a throw, you can trust about.
In all fairness, they made some big plays last
Right.
year.
No, they
past
did.
game.
They opened
The
the
guy-
first play of the game.
Right out of the
Josh,
gate.
yeah, I mean, Josh Proctor missing a tackle. I mean, that was their big play. And then the other one, dude, kicking it off his leg and catching it 30 yards down the field.
As long as our leading receiver don't get hurt, I don't think they have a chance.
Don't suck
I
like that out loud,
think
Tyvis.
this game comes down to Ohio State's interior defensive line versus Notre Dame's. Because the tackle wise, I think it's going to be a wash. I think Joe Alt and Blake Fisher are 2 of the best tackles in the country. I understand and agree that people maybe have not seen what they wanted out of JT Tuimoloau or Jack Sawyer so far. But I think Ohio State a year ago really made hay with Notre Dame by getting the pass rush internally by Mike Hall. If you can get a game like you got out of Mike Hall a year ago with this improved Tyleik Williams that we're seeing, and then you allow Tommy Eichenberg and Steel Chambers to clean things up as opposed to 8-9 yards down the field with Audric Estime and make it 3 or 4 yards down the field, Ohio State wins this game by 3 touchdowns. If that happens.
So what's the threat level?
It's, I don't know. I still
4?
I was going to say 4 because I think Notre Dame will come out. They will.
You were able to decipher all that
No.
down to a 4?
They
That's what I feel.
shortened the game in a major way against Ohio State a year ago, and that was before the new clock rule. So if you can get
That's
Ohio
what I'm
State,
saying. Yeah, they had a good game plan for sure. That's why I'm like, with a quarterback that can get things done, which I just don't think they gonna do it consistently.
the question is, which quarterback's more likely to make a backbreaking mistake in this game? And I think Kyle McCord is probably more likely
yeah.
than Sam Hartman in this situation. So
He has 15 years less experience.
yeah, so Ohio State needs to protect Kyle, make sure that he has a chance to have easy reads. Travion Henderson had 115 yards from scrimmage on Saturday against Western Kentucky. They're using him in the passing game. Like, if you can help Kyle in that way, let him get some. I would keep talking about it on other shows, but if you can let him see the ball go through the basket a few times, like
Put the biscuit in the basket.
Exactly. Exactly, Bob. If you do that, this is not a talent equated game. This is a scheme matchup, but not a talent equated.
Well, last year the game was close because JSN went down, so I think that kind of
certainly
put a wrinkle on a lot of things.
That's changed what Ohio State was doing offensively.
Exactly.
And also, Notre Dame did a great job keeping the ball away from the Buckeyes. And if you can do that, that's how you stop a team that's.
I don't think they can do this defense.
The defense, I think, is better this year.
Exactly. So I don't think they can do that.
And Notre Dame's is worse, in my opinion.
Really?
And they can't stop the run. I'm telling you.
Isaiah.
No Foskey, who's the guy you circled on the scouting report. But like, they have a really nice defensive backfield. They've got some good players in secondary, Benjamin Morrison, a few others. Front seven, like it's being talked about a lot, but I think it's talked about a lot because they have 6 grad students on their front seven, which so they're very experienced. But good experience to me is worse than like
if you take
great
Javonte Jean-Baptiste and immediately put him into your rotation, that's not a great front, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like if you talk about talent equated, Notre Dame's number 2 receiver a year ago is Ohio State's 5th defensive back now, or 5th corner, and Ohio State's 5th defensive end last year is a starter at Notre Dame. So that it's not a knock on Javonte. These are just the facts.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, he could be their uptown girl. No one knows. We'll figure that out.
So what number did you come with?
I said 4 was mine, which I feel like was what's Berm. Berm always slides me in there, and then Austin picks a score of like 56-10.
I mean,
I've been very conservative this year, Bob.
It's the only reason I give it because I wanted to say 4 initially, but the reason I give it to 6 is it's in South Bend. They're good historically. The fans are going to be after it. It's a big game.
How many fans?
It's going to be juice, man. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. That can affect
the third time ever for Ohio State playing at South Bend. Like that's I'm personally freaking stoked to be able to go cover
the second time since 36.
Their athletic department was concerned throughout the summer
that
there would be a lot of scarlet and gray in the stands.
Well, because there were like
a
ton of Cincinnati fans there a year ago.
Well, Georgia
took
it over. Yeah. And they're like, is this going to happen again? And the answer is yes, it is going to happen again.
Are you going to the game?
Of course we'll be there, Tyvis.
What percentage?
Must be not. I'll be in, of all places,
Cleveland, Ohio.
Ann Arbor.
Oh, no.
That's where the Big Ten tailgate is at next week.
Wow.
All places.
That's good.
Where are they playing?
Rutgers.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I would definitely go to that game over the Ohio State Notre Dame game for sure.
Red hot Rutgers, by the way.
Yeah,
go ahead, Bob.
What percentage do you think? 30, 35?
It'll be a very vocal 35.
34.
34%.
What's wrong with you?
I was just curious. Like, as I look at this, though,
try to pinpoint it.
That's the one thing that makes
very precise.
That makes me feel better because that has more of a neutral game, bowl game feel for Kyle. And that's the only other thing. When you've got new center, new quarterback, this is like an actual road game. Indiana was not.
Indiana is always 65-70% Ohio State.
Yes, this is an actual road game against the top 10 team. With a lot of history, a lot of tradition, a lot of pageantry. There's a lot of stuff that goes around to it. And the other thing is, like, the way they did it last year is what Indiana tried to do. We're just going to hold the ball. We're going to keep it. And that's why I think it'll be important for Ohio State to score quick, and they got to get some 3 and outs to get the ball back so they'll be able to have that type of success. So I just worry about finding that rhythm. If early on, 3 and out, Notre Dame sits on it for 8 plays, 6.5 minutes. Next thing you know, it's 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. You don't really feel good about what's going on.
Yeah, Notre Dame will try anything they can to win. This game means everything to Marcus Freeman. So
it does.
Expect some weirdness. Expect trick plays. Expect
they win this game. They're probably going to the CFP.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Clemson's not very good, and USC. USC's the other big game. Like you could lose.
They can lose one of them. Yeah.
You could lose that as long as you beat Clemson. Beat one of these two. Like you're in.
When you say how much it means to Marcus Freeman, that's true. But don't underestimate how important it is to Ryan Day.
Oh, I would never.
Always everything.
I would never.
Too.
How important is it to James Laurinaitis? Former Irishman.
Wow.
You tell me. and by the way, you call him that and then let me see his reaction. Can you record that? Yeah.
Oh, that'll be great.
Former Irishman.
I've been trying to find some pictures of him and Mickey Marotti all dressed up in their Notre Dame stuff. And
Keenan Bailey.
I forgot.
Tony Alford.
Oh, that's
there's
great.
a lot of there's a lot of Irish blood commingling in there in the Woody.
A lot of mixed spit in this.
I'm going to print pictures off. I'm going to print pictures off.
At the very top. Why haven't we seen more games in this series? They love each other.
That's because they don't want to No one wants to beat the other one.
I mean, it is nice.
I'm tired of all this respect.
So many of those people left
Tommy-
knock off Ohio State to come to the real
You'll
Ohio
probably
State.
get Tommy
Tired of all
Eichenberg in
his
some like Notre Dame gear when he's going to
When
watch
Liam
his
was
brother.
there, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of
That would be great.
And then you have Lorenzo Styles
Yeah.
and Javante Jean-Baptiste.
all the money Notre Dame threw at Brian Hartline a year ago.
Al Washington's over there.
Al
dude.
Washington.
This will be great. Oh gosh, have you seen these
We
guys?
should just play this one in Fort Wayne.
This is good.
It's,
I can't wait. I'm gonna get a bunch
it's
of
better
pictures.
than I thought.
I'm gonna put them around the Woody.
It's everywhere.
Have you seen these guys? And I'll have to
It's-
get little pictures of
It's
all of them.
it's the feeder team.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is knock off Ohio State.
I'm
That's
glad
just
you
no-
brought up Sonny
Right.
because one of the other things they did a lot of 3 cornerbacks with Jordan Hancock playing in the slot, and I think that's a great spot if you can get him rolling in there. Be a great opportunity for him to develop that skill set. But the ratio with him to Sonny Styles playing this week will be interesting to see. I think that'll be very indicative.
Are they a spread team? Are they running a lot?
Well,
It's more pro style, but they
It's
run a
more
lot
pro-
of 12 and 13 even. So.
They do. a
Oh,
lot,
and
yeah.
then Jordan
gonna be
Hancock
much more-
is not. It'll be Sonny Styles.
Well, that's my point is how this game unfolds.
Yeah.
Because everybody said we all think it's 12, 13 running the ball. If they decide to go more 11, we're going to get Sam Hartman trying to push this thing around a little bit.
Wait, if they go 12 or 13, that's base. So wouldn't that put CJ Hicks in?
Oh, no, it'd be Cody Simon. I mean,
Cody
is that
Simon.
if Ohio State runs that? But that's the beauty of Sonny is that he can be
Sonny's
that
So you
guy.
put Sonny in there.
Sonny's like your size.
No, I think he's bigger than me. Taller is.
Well, yeah, he's taller.
No,
They try to say he's 220, but I mean, I'm going to tell you, I know what 220 looks like.
Ohio State a year ago put a lot of Cody Simon in this game
Yeah.
early, and this was the first time we really.
Cody's brother went to Notre Dame too. There we go.
I'm sure Shane did.
That's
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah, Shane did. So, lots of.
Well, it's a big. Can't wait. It's going to be a full week of content at the podcast. No better way than kicking it off in here at Roosters. It's a fun casual joint. Come in for appetizer Threes Day. Onion feathers with feather sauce will be $3.
I got to talk to.
Zoinks.
I'm gonna have to talk to the marketing department there. I mean, I feel like we really took a step back with the naming of the sauce.
I mean,
Bob, you can call whatever you want.
we
no
do
one's gonna
call
stop
it.
you.
We're-
I
What's
mean,
it? What's
plucking
it called?
plucking.
Plucking.
sauce.
That's what we call
Make
it.
sure you
Plucky
put
sauce.
It'll always be
put that
plucking
L in
to
there.
me. Thank you to Nicole Cox and Roosters for having us in here to the Horseshoe Lounge to get ready for Ohio State Notre Dame. That's Bob, Tyvis, Berm. I am Austin. Have a great week. We will see you back in here in the Horseshoe Lounge next Monday.